the performance lab. Sorry, we're getting a little bit late here. I'm still working on being able to get everything a little bit more set up. Hopefully this is easily accessible for people on all the different types of streams. I don't know, I just started using Restream to be able to try to get more availability within my social comments display here. Okay, to be able to hopefully get more people to be able to watch these. So, we'll be able to check that out. I'm going to go and make sure this is actually working on some of these different platforms here as we start to let people, or as people start to come in. Hold on. So yeah, welcome people that are coming in. Looks like we got a few people that are starting to join. Big thing today is we're going to be going over how to increase speed, right? And part of what I wanted to look into when it comes to increasing speed, because what I want to be able to differentiate here is the big difference that ends up happening between when we're talking about somebody that is able to, okay, looks like I'm live on YouTube. Excellent. So yeah, the ability to actually, run as fast as you can makes a big impact, or the ability to get faster within, running 21 miles an hour, 22, 23 miles an hour. The higher you go, what are the specific times? Because it takes a big or a large amount of effort from it. And by the way, guys, I do have my comments on if you guys have anything that you would like to ask specific questions about, or if you're enjoying the overall information, please let me know in the comments down below. That really helps us out. But when it comes to increasing your top speed and what ends up being the most important part of improving a 40, a 60, a 100, right, and how that makes a significant impact off of time, or how much of an impact that makes on your time, is really the main thing we want to be able to go over here today. And what we're looking at is, and what I did is I essentially looked at like what's the most important when it comes to running 10 yards, right? I work with a lot of people that run in 40s, or even anybody that's running 40, 60, 100. What we want to be able to do is we want to be able to run sub 1 second, 0.1 second in the 10 yard, right? Or when it comes to the 100 meter, it's really sub 1 second in the 100 meter, right? And we'll get a little bit more into that. But what's most important with it is how well are we able to, when we make these types of changes, when we make these type of adjustments, how well does it transfer over? So point is, if we're running, 20.6 miles per hour, right? Top end speed, 20.6, we're able to hold that, right? So that would end up being the average over, 10 yards or 20 yards. For this, we'll make it 10 yards. It's going to be, that's going to be under 1 second, right? If we're at 20.0, right at 20 miles an hour, that is 1.02. Again, the goal is from a yard perspective. Again, I work with baseball players as well. Big thing is with baseball players is to be able to get, under, within 10 yards, you want to be able to get under 1 second, okay? Or 0.1 second. Sorry, I keep on saying 1 second, but we want to be able to, 1 second, right? We want to get under 1 second, okay? And so what's going to make it so we get there? And then also when we increase the speed, okay, so when we go to 21 miles an hour, so instead of 20.6, now we're at 21, okay, that's going to be 9.97, okay? Just to give you an idea of how much faster you're getting or how much of an impact that's making. So when we're at 21.5, right, we're averaging 21.5 miles an hour. Maybe we hit a max of 21.8, but within a 10-yard mark, you're probably going to be at your highest, within that 21. Okay, so at 21, we're running 0.97, right? 22, you're running 0.93. Okay, so that's how fast it is to take you, for you to run 10 yards is 0.93 seconds. That means you're running 22 miles an hour. Okay. And so why that's important is, it goes into what it is that we're talking about here in increasing speed. Okay. Because and then even from there, 22 to 22.5, there's a lot of effort that goes into going from 22 miles an hour, right? Averaging 22 miles an hour for 10 yards in comparison to running, averaging 22 and a half miles per hour for that same 10 yards, right? But the difference time-wise is 0.02 seconds, 0.93 to 0.91. Okay, so to put that into a 40-yard dash terms, right? That would be the difference between running 4.50 and 4.48. Okay, so now we can go back, because I always tell guys, like, the biggest impact you can make is in the start, right? And that, I think this kind of validates that. But we do want to go into the top end speed today. Okay, so now if your goal is, let's say your goal is to get to 23 miles an hour, your goal is to get to 25 miles an hour. Okay, if that's the goal, the end goal, how do you get there, right? How do you achieve higher top end speeds? And typically what we see, I'm going to get this other screen here queued up. You should be able to see two screens now. I'm going to be kind of looking off to the side here, guys, because I'm going to be using this other screen. But we have Noah Lyles, right? I think overall Noah Lyles today has the best sprinting mechanics when it comes to top speed, right? He might not be the best when it comes to the first 10, the first 20, okay, and 20 meters, but his top end speed, I think, is the best. Okay, so what ends up being important when it comes to maximizing your top speed is a lot of the leg cycle, okay, and being able to maximize this leg cycle the best you can. So we're going to go into what ends up being important within what are you doing and how you can improve your mechanics in order to make it so you can improve your top speed, right? Increase your speed. So what he does a great job of is, first, his toe off, right? He's getting all the way up to the very point of his toe there. Okay, so you can see how that heel is as high up as really you can go. Okay, and I'm doing this on my computer. I wish I could do this on my iPad. It'd be way easier, but I can't figure out on Restream how to be able to do that. I'm going to keep on. I just got Restream the other day. I haven't really worked on it a lot yet, but so you can see how high that heel goes. And then after the foot leaves the ground here, we can see how fast he is at being able to get the heel up, and how well he's able to even get this heel up, right? So he is able to very, very quickly flex that hamstring. Okay, and this is something that since watching this is what I've just been working on with the guys that I train, is just being able to flex that knee as fast as you can, right? Being able to get your foot all the way up to your butt very, very quickly, because the faster you can do that, the faster you can flex within the hamstring. Now, the faster your overall turnover is going to be, okay, and the more distance you're going to be able to cover. Because the two main mistakes that I see, and that was one of the things that I said in the email that I sent out about this, is if you don't have a great ability to flex within that hamstring, right, get that foot up, right, and that's a common thing. Now it's going to be a lot more difficult as the leg comes through to be able to get the necessary height in the foot, right? Because it's all about how our foot hits the ground. It's all about how our foot contacts the ground. So the more effective we can be at being able to get that foot up and be able to get as much height here, right, that makes a big difference in how we end up striking the ground. So he does a very, very good job of, one, being able to quickly get that foot up, right, and flex then that hamstring while keeping that foot back, behind a good ways, right? And then as he comes through, you can see how he gets that knee all the way up and really has a great height there. And when he's doing that, he's also very quick at being able to get that shin angle through. Okay, so basically right when he's getting to his top, where his knee is at the highest, right, his shin is getting through very, very quickly. Really, the faster we can get this shin through, the better we're going to be. Okay, and making it so we can get to really this position at max height. So then as we go and strike the ground, we can get that extension and pull back and land as high as we possibly can, right? That really is the essence of being able to run as fast as possible. Okay, I know we get into the numbers a lot. Okay, so we'll get into some of the specifics within what his foot contact time is. I've done I've looked into his top speed before. I want to say it was around 25 miles per hour on the video that I made for him. 25, maybe 26, somewhere in there at top speed, right? And so again, this is the fastest American ever. Right now, the best video to watch to me, because you get so much more clarity in it, right? Because if I go back and I watch Usain Bolt when he was running it at the fastest, the video quality is just not very good. There's a lot of like staticky kind of video display, right? I think that there's a lot more or a lot better information when it comes to Usain Bolt in terms of some of the things that have been published on his ability to transition off the ground really quickly, his ability to really maximize the cycle. There's a lot of things that were really good when it comes to that with Usain Bolt and force production. But at the end of the day, Noah Lyles is a lot better person to relate to because he is shorter, right? Let me see. I want to say he's 6'3". Okay, Usain Bolt was 6'5". A lot of guys are not 6'5", so your mechanics are going to be different. Sorry, he's only 5'11". He runs so tall. That's awesome that he's 5'11". Wow. Yeah, 5'11", right? 5'11", about 155 is what they say his height and weight is, which is not very big, right? But he maximizes his length, right? So we can see when that foot hits the ground, he's doing a great job of being very long through his legs. Okay, so now he can immediately get that heel back up and transition right back off. Okay, so let's go into the foot contact time. So he lands here, boom, he's at 0.08, right? We're just looking at that number here at the bottom. Okay, you guys should be able to see my cursor. Okay, 0.08 in terms of that. And then he is transitioning off the ground. He's not all the way off the ground at 0.15 there. So it's probably closer to 0.16, 0.17, somewhere in there. But that's still about 0.08, right? 0.08 foot contact time, excellent amount of time spent on the ground. A lot of times people are running, again, this is amongst the fastest guys in the world, right? A lot of guys are running significantly, slower than that, right? With their foot contact time. A lot of times I've just told the guys, like, get it under 0.1, right? If when the foot hits the ground, and I capture with 240 frames per second with the people that I work with, which makes it so we can get a lot more information of, what are you doing when your foot's hitting the ground, and how we can transition off of it, and getting in depth into what's going to be most effective for that. But again, the big thing is we want to be able to get under 0.1, right, in terms of how much time we're spending on the ground. I get a lot of messages from people who are asking me about things to help them out with their sprinting, right, and their training and getting programs and things like that. I think people like the way that I look into sprinting it. And at the end of the day, there has to be a lot of self accountability here in order to build your speed, right? And I appreciate the people that are reaching out, that are looking to get faster and all that. The reality of the situation, at least what I found, is a lot of times people are just looking to get like some free help, some free guidance, some free this, some free that. And I just don't have enough time to be able to just be sending out free programs all the time, right? Especially because I have programs that help you in sprinting that are paid programs, right? I have like a 28-day free speed program, really basic in terms of what's actually in there. But I want to make it as personalized as possible. I want to help people that are actually in the program as much as possible. So as much as I know that would probably help to be able to have programming options, at the same time, what I do for people when they're in the program is provide a lot of specificity for it, right? So I don't really have like a generalization in terms of the program, because I don't think that's as beneficial, right? What I think is going to be the most beneficial for you is that when you're on a program, or when you're working with somebody, we're giving you the things that you need based off of what we're finding within your sprinting. Okay, so if you're, let's say, needing to work on your foot contact time, but I give you a program to help you build your strength, your leg strength, your squats, deadlifts, lunges, things like that, Nordics. That could have some carryover if you have a really bad foot contact time, help you with your strength overall. But one, you need to work on the mechanics, right, and understand that ends up being an issue. And two, we would want to be able to do more plyometrics, more single leg jumps, more landing, more transitionary type of work, work on your lateral balance. Okay, and so we want to create a program where you want to be working out in a way that is improving your specific issue. Okay, so that's why we're going into these numbers here. Seeing with Noah Lyles, right? He hits the ground at 0.08, right? Or sorry, he hit the ground, 0.08, and he was off the ground by 0.16, right, which gives him foot contact time of, you know, 0.08, maybe 0.09, right? Because he was about to hit the ground too at 0.05. Okay, so he probably could have been a little bit, later there. So again, we're going to give him about 0.08, right? We're going to be guesstimating. It's obviously definitely better than 0.01, right? And it's definitely more than 0.17, okay, because those are the times that we got. So it's going to be somewhere between 0.08, 0.09, somewhere in there. I would say it's probably under 0.09 as well. But, so now from that time period, we're going to say 0.16. And now when the foot hits the ground again, okay, and we're going to go again here. We'll go 5.2, okay, 0.16 to 5.2. It always just helps me to be able to go here. So that's 3.6. Okay, so the leg cycle, time off the ground, 0.36. Again, these are numbers to be able to help you out, right? That's phenomenal length. That means he's getting a phenomenal amount of distance per step. I didn't go into the specifics. I have in the past the specifics of how much distance he's able to take up per step. But that's a phenomenal amount of distance per step, right? With 0.36. Because I've done Tyson Gay. Tyson Gay is about 5'10". His leg cycle was, when he ran the 9.69, his leg cycle was 0.30. Right, was getting, was even able to get sub 0.3, into 0.29, which is, really, really fast. Obviously, legs are turning over really quickly, but not going to be able to get as much length, as much distance, right? With Usain Bolt, same thing, where he was running that, 5'8", he was closer to 0.37, 0.38. Again, that's phenomenal for being 6'5", right? That's a little bit more than Noah Lyles at being 5'11". Right, so that just gives you an idea for Usain Bolt. He was just trying to get the better he could cycle, the better off he's going to be because of how tall he is. Okay, and so what would you want to be able to do here, and the basic fundamentals of what I go through when it comes to building speed, right? I look at your 40, or I look at your 60, or I look at your 100, whatever the case may be. What we want to be able to do is create a formula for how do we get objective results. Okay, the more objective we can make it, the better off everybody's going to be when it comes to how we can maximize the performance. So what we want to look at is we want to break it into a few different categories. One, we want to look at into your first 10 yards or your first 10 meters, right? What is your 10-meter time? Okay. Then we want to go and look into your 20 meters, right? And how well you're able to continue that acceleration. Okay. And then, whether you're in the 60, the 100, the 200, we want to be able to get an idea of what your last, let's say for this, we'll go with the 100, right? We want to be able to see your last 80 meters, right? First 10, last 20, and then the last 80. Okay. And the reason that's important is because, now we create variables for what's actually happening. So how many steps are we taking in the first 10 meters? Right? How many steps are we taking in the first 20 meters? And then really how many steps are we taking in the entire 100 meters? So then we can go and kind of see some of the averages. We could see how well you're able to go through the different phases, right? I mean, in the 100 meter, you're probably going to be going through your dry phase a little bit quicker, a little bit slower. And so, that 20 meters is going to be, something that's, it's important to be able to see the consistent build, but the more we can get, if we could even get like a 40 meter in there, I think that would be great. And a lot of times with guys, I'll look at the 10, 20, and then the 40, and then, we'll be able to push it into the 100 when possible. But, point being is when we can actually see the amount of steps you're taking, right, based off of your height, and then based off of what some of the other top athletes and how many steps they're taking, it really makes a big difference in, understanding, okay, this is what we need to improve. Okay. Because obviously for you today, we're not going to be able to say, like I'm looking at Noah Lyles. I can maybe look to see how Noah Lyles can get faster, right? I can maybe see, I have a bunch of different guys that I have here, but Noah Lyles is the best in the world, right? And so if we look to go see, somebody that is, a little bit more of a, here, we'll use this one here. It is a fast guy, right? Like this is somebody who's 17, runs about 11 seconds. Okay, we'll go and just see some of the differences with him, right? This is going to be his first 20. You know, he's getting probably pretty close to his top speed. We'll just look to see where he's at with his foot contact and everything here. Okay, so lands at 4.2. Then you can see how my scree or my I'm going to be able to be a lot more accurate here. So he gets off by 0.52, right? So he's at 0.1 with his foot contact. Okay, and he's probably about 5'11" as well. Notice though, the difference between his height, right? So see how slow he is in getting that leg to cycle through, and the lack of knee flexion he has here. Okay, so that's going to be something that a lot of guys struggle with this. This isn't something that is like I guess a uncommon thing. This is something that's very common where, one, a big difference that I see, and I could even compare these with Noah Lyles and, the athlete here, is the ability to maintain a nice straight leg. Okay, so we go, it should be at the same time, close to the same time. All right, again, I would like to be able to have this on my, this is when he's kind of slowing down a little bit. I'd like to be able to have this on my iPad. It would help me out, but, again, I haven't figured that out yet. If any of you guys know how I could do that, that would be, super beneficial. Whoop, I didn't want to do that. I want to zoom in. All right, so we could see how when we look at the left, come on, let me zoom in here. Let me move this over. Let me see if I can do this. Nope. I just had it in the right spot too. Okay. Getting some messages here, huh? Clearing it, come on. I want to be able to get that view that we had before so we could see. Here, we'll just do it here. Okay, he's not going to be his top speed here. Here we go. Oh, got it. Well, sorry. We're going to be able to see my emails here. Okay, so we'll go back into this step. So we're looking at this left step. Okay, see the difference between when his foot's hitting and the height that he's at? Okay, like look at the difference between their knees. And again, they're probably about the same height. Okay, see how much more bent. And again, this guy's fast, right? This guy is like 11 seconds in the 100, right? So it's nothing to, be able to, I guess, laugh at or say that it's not, very good. It is definitely something that is, can improve. Okay, so we're at 0.64 in terms of the foot contact, right? When that foot hits the ground, and he's transitioning off there a little bit later, closer to 7.5, right? And again, see how late he is at getting that foot through. Okay, so then he's off at 7.5 and doesn't get that foot nearly as high. Oh, we're not going to be able to get the full thing there. Okay, so we need to go back. We'll go to the other step that he had. This was the original one that was 0.1. He's a little bit quicker off of this one. Let's see where he came off. 5.2. Okay, and he hits the ground at and he's late at getting that shin through as well. Let's go 8.9, right? So he's at like 3.7, okay, in terms of how long his leg cycle was, right? So 0.47. And I can tell you just because based off of the landing that he is, not picking up near as much distance as, Noah Lyles was, right? So in Noah Lyles in 0.44 seconds was able to pick up, more. We obviously can't tell exactly how much distance he's able to pick up, but, probably about, a third of a yard, I would say, somewhere in there. Again, guys, if you guys have any comments or anything like that, you can go ahead and let me know down below. Would be happy to be able to answer any of those. I'm using Restream right now, something that's a little bit new, so I can get more people to be able to watch this. But yeah, so when it comes to increasing top speed, okay, we want to be able to isolate the leg cycle. We want to be able to isolate the distance per step, and we want to be able to isolate the foot contact time. Why? Because once we can go and get all these variables down, right? Even if we look at the 10 yards, right? If we want to say, let's run your fastest 10 yards. That's something that Feed the Cats they talk about, right? Increase your 10 meter, increase your 10 yard. Be able to run that as fast as you can. Be able to increase your top speed. Okay, how do we build that? Okay, you would want to be able to find a way to measure 10 meters, find a way to measure 10 yards, depending on where you are and what you're trying to get better in. 40 yard, 60 yard, you want to get 10 yards. 60 meter, 100 meter, 200 meter, you'd want to get 10 meters. Okay. Now, how many steps does it take you to run those 10 meters? Okay. And I would say you want to be around 4.5, depending on most of you guys, based off your height. When it comes to the meters, when it comes to yards, definitely closer to 4 yards for that, or sorry, 4 steps for the 10 yards. Okay. And when you're doing that, you'd want to be able to have under a 0.1 foot contact time. Okay. This is really the meat of the overall goals that you're trying to get to. Okay. Under 0.1 foot contact time. Right. And then you want to be able to get the, the cycle to be around 3.5, somewhere between probably 3.3 to 3.6. Okay, but again, you want to be able to isolate each one of those. So first, you want to say, okay, am I covering the right amount of distance? Okay, is my step length correct? A lot of times the step length isn't correct, and depending on that, what the length is of that. Art, my guy, what's up, guys? We got DJ here. I like the question, and then I think Alexander just left a comment to be able to little come back later type of a situation. But so yeah, when we get into the how much distance are we getting, okay, and getting a better understanding of where we're at there, now we could say, okay, am I getting the right distance, and how can I prove there? A lot of times that has to do with how we're striking the ground. Okay, people make the mistake in thinking, oh, my distance isn't right. That means I need to push off the ground more, and it's not about the ground push off as much as it is about how we are able to strike the ground. Okay. And so, the better you could use, and again, typically the main issue that I see with people is that when they are running, they're not utilizing their feet to the ability that they could. Right. So see how he gets here, gets that toe up, and is actively pulling that foot down. Right. And I think really Usain Bolt is probably the best ever to be able to do this. I've never seen anybody as good at being able to get his foot all the way up and then get so much length with his leg by being able to get his heel all the way up as he's pulling the foot back underneath. Okay. So that's what helps you with the distance, is being able to increase the foot contact. Okay. And then when it comes to the foot contact time, or, the force in the ground, helps you with the how much distance per step we're getting. Okay. When it comes to foot contact time, a lot of that is balance. A lot of that is where are we landing on the foot. So if we're landing more on the outside, right? So we saw, the athlete here did a little bit better job on the right leg with his foot contact. Right. Let me see if I can zoom out here. Okay. And so we could see when he lands, okay, he lands with this one a little bit more on the inside part of the foot. Okay, he gets the front part of the front third of that foot down, right, and is able to very effectively transition off, right? Where this left one, he's a lot further back, well, not a lot, but he's further back on the foot, right? So we see more like the heel landing, okay, and he's much more on the outside. Okay, so just that little bit of difference makes an impact on how well we're able to actually absorb, right? We get the weight onto that foot. Now we want to be able to, as effectively as we can, transition forward and off that foot. Okay, really ends up being heel up. Okay, that's the concept that I usually tell guys is you land here, right? And now let's get this heel up. Heel up, heel up, heel up. Let me see if I can go here. Okay, boom, get that heel up as quick as you can, right? So see how fast he is at getting that heel up, right? Because once you can get that heel up, now you can transition off. Okay, so land, get that heel off, get that heel up. The better ability to get your heel up has everything to do with how well you're able to stabilize. Okay, you're not going to be able to, if you're off balance, your heel's down. Okay, when you're on balance, you can lift that heel up. Okay, when you can lift that heel up, then you can transfer over or transfer off a lot more effectively. And when it goes into, so DJ, to answer your question here, why is 100 meter and 400 meter speed different, right? It just has to do with the ability to maintain top speed, right? When you're going and you're running the 400 meter, you're just not going to be able to get to as high of a top speed. And the necessity of the 100 meter is, you don't need to be able to hold the top speed as long, right? So you get up to, Usain Bolt got up to what, 28 miles an hour at times, probably 26 miles an hour pretty consistently, right? There's no way he's holding 26 miles an hour for 400 meters. So you have to change your mechanics to make it so then you can optimize or be more efficient to be able to then make it so you can last a longer period of time. Okay, where if you end up going and wanting to get more distance per step, right, you want to be able to cover longer ways, 400 meters. Okay, what's going to end up happening is the time spent off the ground with the foot ends up being longer. Okay, and even your foot contact time ends up being a little bit longer because of that distance. Okay, so when we watch some of the top long distance runners, and what ends up being the big difference between those guys is one of them, why this one keeps on coming here. But when they end up hitting the ground, right, they're spending more time on the ground with that foot contact. Okay, not a lot longer. Okay, a lot of times it's like 0.1, 0.12, or sorry, about 0.1. Actually, that's going to be where the time is. But they're spending about 0.4 in terms of time off the ground, right? Where when you're running your top speed, right, when you're trying to run 26 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, again, we're closer to 0.35, right, 0.33, somewhere in there with how fast those legs are cycling. So that wants to be the goal, is we want to be able to get as good as we can at being able to maximize the leg cycle. Okay, that's what it comes down to, is the effectiveness of the leg cycle. How fast are you able to cycle there? And that's what, so we got kind of a side view here. I'm going to go a little bit into the backside and go into what's important with that. Okay, and that's kind of where we're going to finish off with this live here today, and how you can increase your speed. Again, if you guys are getting good information from this, if this is helping you, leave a comment down below. That always helps. And so we'll go into, and this athlete here is pretty effective in being able to create a fast turnover, right? He's pretty efficient. He's running about 20 miles an hour. We definitely want to be able to get him closer to 21. But we could see that when he's landing, obviously he's on the curve here, but when he's landing and able to get that weight onto his front part of the foot, right, front third of the foot, okay, as close to the toes as you can. You want to be able to get the heels up as much as you can, and then as he's transitioning off while those heels are going out. I see a lot of times people will go and allow those heels to kind of come inwards as they're landing and as they're absorbing. You can see with him, he's going and transitioning and bringing his foot out, and then immediately driving that knee up and through, right? We don't want to get stuck with that knee back behind. I see a lot of guys that are very late. So as this foot comes up, they're late with coming through with that knee. Okay. And what I mean by late is 100th of a second, right? Or sorry, 5,000ths of a second, because we're looking very, very slow into this, but you can see, what ends up being the timing differences, right? The more that we're able to break guys down and see, at every millisecond what's happening, the more it becomes clear that, the fastest guys in the world are just so efficient with what they do with their legs, right? They're not wasting time with their foot coming back behind. They're not wasting time with, the knee coming forward. They're not wasting time with when their foot hits the ground, right? So we can see with him here, even with this right leg, this isn't a perfect landing with this right leg. He's more on the outside part of the foot. When that foot hits the ground, would be better for his weight to be kind of transitioning more inwards, so then he could be taller up, and then we wouldn't have this action, right? So this like pronation, this rolling in of the foot makes it so it takes more time for him to get off the ground, right? So now as he's transitioning out the ground, it's longer for his heel to be able to come up. Now his foot's going to be able to, or is going to come off the ground further back behind, right? He does do a good job of being able to get all the way up under the balls of his feet, okay? But he's not able to get all the way up with his toe as well. So now that toe's stuck behind where you'd want to be able to get that toe up more effectively. So then as your foot comes here, you can get that right back into dorsiflexion right away, right? You've been having delay in the push off and delay in getting the dorsiflexion in the ankle makes it so now the strike ends up being weaker. Okay, so because he's delayed here with that foot, now it's going to take him a little bit longer time to be able to get into that effective dorsiflexion, okay, which is then going to make it so when the foot strikes the ground, he's going to be a little bit more on the outside part of the foot in comparison to, the inside part of the foot. So, like these are the types of things, the small things that I love being able to, look deeper into and be able to give you not only the information, right? Not only the ability to actually see it and, hopefully comprehend it, right? But also what are the tools to be able to effectively correct it? Okay, because that ends up to me being the main thing, right? There's so many different ways to sprint, right? And there's more and more people that are at least in my opinion, that are going and pushing, I guess, the narrative that the mechanics are not as important, right? Where that I don't think that could be further from the truth. I think everybody would agree that how you do something is everything, right? That's why we want to be able to learn as a business person. We want to be able to learn how do the best businesses work, right? How effective are how do you build an effective team? How do you be a great leader? How do you hire people? It's the same type of thing for sprinting. How you sprint is most important, right? Once we can get into the how, right? Now we can start to get into the importance of the strength building, the importance of the plyometrics, the importance of the core or the upper body, or all the other kind of subcomponents of it. But if we don't have an understanding of the mechanics, right, or how you are doing something, or what ends up being the wrong the wrong way of going about it, then there's no real way of being able to build an effective program for you. Okay, going back into the business concept, right? We want to be able to first understand from business world, where are we making errors, right? That's why you pay, there's a lot of business people that get paid a lot of money to help out in being able to build a effective business, right? Is because we have to be able to understand what it is, the problem within the business. Sometimes you need a business coach to come in and be able to tell you, you're not doing great with your accounting. You're not doing great with your, your employees are this, you need better employees. You need better products, you need better service, whatever ends up being the case. The time spent on the website isn't correct. But you need somebody to come in and tell you, hey, this is what is the issue. It's the same type of thing for sprinting, right? You need somebody to help you in understanding, okay, this is the issue. So then you know how to be able to actually build yourself up and get faster. So, again, I can't overstate the importance of, understanding the mechanics, right? And how you can improve within that specific area. So, yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on here. I'm going to go ahead and kind of sign off here. And with the closing statements, I don't know how many people kind of stayed through the whole thing, right? But when it comes to top end speed, okay, because I'm going to get more into the start as well. I always tell people the most improvement you can make is going to be within the start. Okay, going from 0 to 10 is going to be the best. Okay, and when going into looking at it, so if you go and you build up, your average speed from 0 to 10 is 11 miles an hour, right? That's a 186. Okay, in terms of 10 yards. Okay, if you're running 11 miles per hour for 10 yards, the average, okay, which means you probably built up to like 12.5-ish at 10 yards, right? 1.86. 12 miles per hour, 170. 13 miles an hour, 157, right? So that's a huge difference when it comes to, we talked about before that when we started, 23 miles an hour, right? 0.89. 22 miles an hour, 0.93, right? So that's 400ths of a difference. So you can work super, super hard to make it so in 10 yards, right? That's a huge difference. 10 yards being able to run 22 miles an hour compared to 23 miles an hour in terms of how much output you have to be able to accomplish in order to run 23 miles an hour in comparison to 22. But the timing change is 400ths of a second. Again, the difference between running, I always say 40 because I do a lot of stuff with football players, 450 to 446. Like, yeah, that's a big difference for sure, right? That can make a huge impact in terms of draft status. But at the end of the day, that is not a huge, like that's not 4.5 to 4.3, right? Like that's really a big difference. And that's more what we're talking about with the start, right? So if you run 11 compared to 12, average miles per hour within the first 10, that's a 0.14 difference, right? Which would be the difference between running 4.50 and 4.36. Okay, so again, we're looking into the priorities, right? We want to see, you can make a huge difference by being able to run 4.50 to 4.36, right? 4.36, that guy is maybe one of the fastest receivers, top 10 fastest receivers in the draft class, right? Or even defensive backs. Okay. Now 4.50 to 4.46, there might be 15 guys in that kind of category. Guys that ran 4.546, guys that run 4.47, guys that run 4.48. Okay, so point being, is as much as it's important to be able to get your top end speed and understand your top end speed, the way to be able to really make a big difference is within the start. And really, how you start is a big determiner of how well you're able to finish. Okay, and so going through the drive phase correctly, going through and how you're able to transition into the top end speed. We're going to do a lot more of these videos, a lot more of these lives to be able to help you guys out. Want to hopefully be able to get build a little bit more of a connection with you guys, through these. And when you can really understand the importance of the drive phase and how well you're able to turn over your legs, and then how that carries over to being able to run as fast as you possibly can. Again, it really makes it so you can get a clear understanding of where you are currently in your 40, your 60, your 100, your 200, your 400, whatever the case may be, and how you could actually make a big difference, and what are some of the expectations you could put on yourself in terms of overall improvement. Because that's another thing that you see a lot, especially on Reddit, sometimes even on Facebook, where people are asking like, I run 11 seconds right now, or 12.4, can I run 11? 11.0, can I run 10? And it's like, they're kind of looking for some validation, probably, some people to be able to go and talk to them and say, yeah, of course, man, like, pump them up or whatever. And that's great. But what you want to be able to understand is, and what's more important, not getting, information from, other people just saying, yeah, go for it, blah, blah, blah. But what is it going to take, right? Like, okay, you're at 12.4. What does it take to get to 11 seconds? Okay, what we went over today, right, in these 44 minutes is a formula to be able to help you understand what it's going to take for me to go from 0 to, or from 12.4 to 11, or from 12.4 to 10.8 or to 10.6, right? Because now you can get into the specifics of how many miles per hour do I need to be averaging, at what times do I need to be averaging those miles per hour, how many steps do I need to be taking, how much time on the ground do I need to be taking, how fast should my leg cycle be, how effective can I be, or what is important in able to have an effective, leg cycle, an effective foot contact time, an effective distance per step. So again, that's all the stuff that we went over today. And, if you guys want to, in the description down below here, I linked some of the programs that we have, right? I'm a big believer in that Faster 40 program for anybody that's looking to improve the 40. I think we can do it very, very quickly and make that information very easy for you to understand. Okay. But same thing within the 60, same thing within the 100. Check out some of those programs. We have a guaranteed faster 12-week program. All these things are going to be able to give you not only coaching when it comes to mechanics, but also programming to be able to make it so you could actually address the things that you need to be able to work on. So again, guys, thanks for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I always appreciate the support. We're looking forward to being able to work with you guys more and for being able to provide more value. So if you're watching this now, like it. That makes a big difference in, with the YouTube algorithm and all that type of stuff. So like the video, and we'll keep on posting more videos on the page as well, and we'll continue to do more of these lives. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys